brought to you by our friends of the British Council. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy at the Studio 34 Fantasy Sports Network here on West 35th Street in New York City. And we have our AFIA Sports Training Group Session Chat. And this one centers around the ARCs, the Americas Rugby Championship. And with that, we have Mr. Steve Lewis on remote from the Pig and Whistle, our favorite rugby pub because he's out gallivanting once again. And Mr. Bryan Ray of Americas Rugby News calling in from Halifax. Up north, way up north. Stephen, welcome. Bryan, welcome.
Hello, Canadian friends.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Matt.
Steve, I'm being told in my headset that there's some kind of technical issue going on over there at the Pig and Whistle. So why don't you just go ahead and start with your skinny on the ARCs. Go ahead.
Okay, week 3, we had Canada getting back on the horse or the bike or whatever analogy you want to use, but they thumped Brazil 45-5, so that was a little restoration of pride for them. Good to see. Been a tough year for the Canadians, our northern cousins. The other game down south was Uruguay against an Argentina 15. 34-17 victory for the Argentinians in Uruguay. It's an interesting result. And then, of course, the most important game for us was US at home against Chile in front of what was a very disappointing crowd in Fullerton, I have to say. But ultimately came out winners 45-13. Second half of the first half wasn't that great, but pulled it away in the end. What was interesting about this game was there was an opportunity to see a lot of new players. We've said all along this tournament is really a developmental tournament, and it's about Gold seeing the players he has. There were quite a few new caps given this weekend. A start given to Sam Wuching, the University of Washington player at flanker. Paul Lasike, who was a BYU Chicago Bears running back, came on at centre. Shout out to local boy Dylan Fawsitt, the butcher of Old Blue. He got his first cap finally. And then a couple of others there as well.
Steve, I got to ask you, Steve, why is Dylan Fawsitt called the butcher?
You'd have to ask him that. All I'm saying is you shouldn't give yourself nicknames.
Valid point. There's more to that story. We'll have to chase it down. All right, so before we let you go, Steve, give us your predictions.
So predictions, coming up, US are going down to Brazil. So that will be an away win. Uruguay are in Chile. That'll also be an away win. And Argentina have Canada at home win. So it's really still going to come down. US is all to play for, right? They're 3-0. If they win out, they win the tournament. They slip up, potentially against Uruguay and Montevideo. You could almost see a 3-way tie between the Uruguayans, the Argentinians, and the US.
Did the result for the Argentine 15 beating Uruguay surprise you at all?
Yeah, Uruguay have been on a good run. I would have thought this was a chance for them to tip over their bigger, noisy neighbours, right? But that's a derby. That's serious rivalry going on down there, so that always plays into it. And the Argentinians just asserted their numerical qualitative superiority, it looks like.
Okay, so how much should American fans read into the fact that Argentine 15 smoked Uruguay and we beat Argentine 15?
Well, I wouldn't say they smoked them, and I wouldn't read too much into it. Depends on rosters. Apples and apples. Who was playing against who? All
right, Steve, thank you. We'll let you go, and good luck to you and the Northeast Academy women. Bryan, you just heard Steve Lewis. What's your reaction to the tournament so far and Mr. Lewis's comments?
Well, yeah, it's been terrific. I mean, from the first weekend, we saw the underdogs win all 3 games in first round. It's kind of settled into maybe the regulars after that. But, this weekend's action was really interesting. I'll agree with him. It's kind of a development thing. We saw lots of new caps for the Eagles. I thought they had a dismal first half, but whatever Gary Gold said at halftime sure worked. They turned it up, and they gave us what we were expecting in the second half. The Argentina-Uruguay game, I think people were expecting maybe a little bit more out of Uruguay than what they saw, but we have to keep in mind they lost quite a few of their top players, have gone back to Europe, and they had a couple injuries as well. So they're testing out their depth as well, and they're maybe not as strong as maybe we thought. Now, we could see a couple of those guys come back for the last game against the Eagles. We'll see. They have done that in the past, so we'll see what happens there. And of course, Canada, we kind of got a freebie. Brazil showed up. It was cold. It was windy. It was rainy. They really didn't look like they wanted to play at all, and we kind of ran over them. So, we really needed that as a confidence booster. So, we'll take it. I don't think it's a good reflection of Brazil. I think they're a stronger team than that. I think we'll see at home they'll be better against the USA. But, as far as Canada goes, we'll take it. Of course, we've got the much, much tougher match against Argentina on their home turf this coming weekend. So I think that'll be a very different story. We'll see how that goes.
All right, so I want to take you back in time. I want to take you back just prior to the World Cup in 2015. Specifically, let's call it the spring of 2015. We had a series of matches against you guys, we being USA versus Canada. But Canada was basically on the front foot. The sevens program and the 15s program. And literally, I was thinking that you guys were poised to just run the table against us. And the exact opposite happened. What has happened in Canada, and what can we expect going forward in a positive sense?
Well, I think a big problem with where we were and where we are now is we got our priorities all wrong. We put everything behind the sevens program, and we got the Olympic gold in our eyes. So we had a lot of top guys playing with the sevens program. We ended up calling them in for the World Cup in 2015. Phil Mack, Nathan Hirayama, John Moonlight. These guys are all playing sevens full time, and you can't really expect these guys to jump right back into 15s mode the way we did. So I think that set us back, and we also we took kind of something out of our only feeding program. We don't really have a good player pathway, but we had the CRC. That's not the Collegiate Rugby Championship. Yeah. Up here, it's the Canadian Rugby Championship. And really, that was our only stepping stone between domestic and international rugby. And we really pulled out of that. It hasn't been the same since. It's been a 2-week tournament basically since, which just, you can't do anything in that. And that's really set us back. We haven't had that player pathway.
So let me ask you this then. Pathway. Segue. Major League Rugby news in Canada. What are the rumors that you're hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the Ontario Arrows program. I know you've had Mark Winokur up there in the show. He and those guys, the Ontario Blues guys, have got that program running. They had a training camp last weekend. Lots of guys there, and they'll be playing, I think it's March 3rd at Constellation Field, Houston SaberCats. So that should be a great match. I'm really excited about that. Hopefully those guys will be in MLR next year. They'll follow suit with follow New York. That would be really awesome for everybody. And then Vancouver, we've actually got 2 bids in, 2 different groups bidding for a team in Vancouver. So, it's maybe not the ideal situation, but as long as we get a team out there.
What, you're complaining about 2 bids? Come on, man. Capitalism, the dollar makes things happen.
This is Canada. Everyone likes to get along with each other, and it's a small rugby community. But as long as we get one of those guys working and we get a team in Vancouver, which I think will happen, we're kind of running out of time. We need that to happen sooner than later so we can get that for 2019. But that'll be a major, major boost for us, certainly for our domestic program, to have players who can hit that next level between club and international rugby, which we don't have right now. So yeah, very positive signs for Major League Rugby.
Well, I can't wait. I hope that the MLR hits Tirana, and that way I can take long weekends at my alma mater, University of Buffalo, and skate into Tirana for the matches.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great for us. A nice, we get New York. It'd be a great, nice, friendly rivalry out in Vancouver. They'd have Seattle, and I think it would just be great for the league as a whole. I love the fact that you keep bringing up friendly. I mean, you guys are the nicest. You and Kiwi. I'm trying to figure out who are the nicest people on the planet, Kiwis or Canadians. It's just, and God forbid there's somebody that's a Kiwi Canadian. Then forget it. They're just the nicest. What's the saying? You keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer. I like it. So you're saying it's all a ruse. All right. What are your predictions for the weekend? Yeah, I'll agree with Steve. I think we've got Canada going out, Argentina, different kettle of fish. Argentina will take it there. We've got the USA. They'll pick up a road win over Brazil. And then we've got Uruguay, Chile. Well, I think Uruguay will take that pretty handily. So it'll be an entertaining weekend, but I think those are the right picks. I'm going to go with the USA in Brazil. Sim com gás. They don't sell cherry cola because they don't make the quota in Brazil.
Look that one up. And I'm going to go with Uruguay to rebound. And I made my predictions in the Six Nations. I could readily be 0-3. But I gotta go with the Canadians. I'm going with my heart here. I think you might be on the front foot again. I hope so.
I think you're being
Canadian.
very generous, but we'll take it.
All right. I guess you're going with Argentina.
I got to go with Argentina. We were better against Brazil, but this is a step up.
Right here and now, I got a Tim Hortons Maple Glazed and a Looney that says Canada wins.
This is terrible that I'm going against my own country, but I'll take it.
All right, sacrilege from Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News. So, Bryan, we have to let you go, but I want to thank you for coming on.
All right, guys, thanks very much.
All right, on behalf of Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News and Mr. Steve Lewis, Matt McCarthy for Rugby Wrap-Up from the Studio 34 Fantasy Sports Network, signing off.